Hi, this is Brian Perry with Perry Home Solutions and Keller Williams Innovations. This is another in our series of vendor spotlights, and this one is a really cool one. We like to focus our vendor spotlights on mostly people outside of real estate, but I couldn't resist bringing Jeanne Greek in here today because she is my favorite go-to insurance person. She's the major person, or the only person I should say.
I should say the only person.
Let me correct that, Jeanne. The only person that we recommend for insurance on our team directly to our clients. And so welcome, Jeanne.
Thank you.
And I invited you here because, for one thing, we haven't had a chance to do this yet, so I've been looking forward to that. But also, I did want to talk about everything that you offer. In addition to that, I want to talk about what is going on in the insurance world right now, because a lot of people in South Florida are real flustered, right?
Yes.
So tell me what your thoughts are about that.
So I don't know if there's going to be any relief in the future. The biggest issue is that when a hurricane happens in Florida, it takes a couple of years before it actually affects your homeowner's insurance. And if there is a hurricane anywhere in the state of Florida, it doesn't have to be in the Panhandle. It's still going to affect South Florida's insurance rates.
Wow, why is that?
Because it's still affecting the carrier's entire pool of their payouts.
So all of Florida is just one big pool,
yes.
Basically. Got
yes.
It. Okay.
So and it takes a couple years. So last year we saw the increase that happened from Irma and Michael. So the reason that happens is just like we have insurance, insurance companies also have insurance. It's called reassurance.
Oh.
So they were hit with the double whammy with those two hurricanes all at once, both of them being catastrophic, different parts of the state, but it still affected the entire state.
Because that's funny, because our area didn't really see a lot of effect from those hurricanes. Yeah.
Right, especially with Matthew. I mean, the only place it hit was the Panhandle, but it was very catastrophic there.
Right, that's correct.
So what happened last year was then they got their new insurance bill, and it was, every carrier's was way too expensive. So some carriers pulled out of South Florida, some pulled out of the entire state. And what happens is when that happens, it just takes away from your options. So not only has insurance rates gone up, but you don't have all the options that you used to have.
So the hurricanes hit, caused damage, that caused the rates to go up. Then subsequently, some carriers pulled out of Florida, which makes it that much more challenging.
Correct.
For rates.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And like I said, especially South Florida. We call Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach the tri-state, or the tri-county
area.
So, and their guidelines are harder in those three counties as well. So it's just a mixture of all those things. And then another issue with the rates going up is a lot of false claims. There's a lot of times typically if you go through a neighborhood and you see one roof being replaced, you're seeing a few.
Right. Yeah, that's common.
Yeah,
that's true.
And unfortunately, what's happening is not all of them, but you have some roofing companies that are looking for that. They'll say, "Remember that storm a couple years or last month or 6 months ago? You have hail damage." We don't have a lot of that issues down here because we don't have a whole lot of hail. But I see it a lot in Brevard County in Melbourne, and they'll go through and then they'll say, we can do this report for you. Your insurance will pay for you a new roof, and then the whole neighborhood's wanting new roofs.
Wow.
And unfortunately, a lot of times it's less expensive for the carrier just to pay the claim than it is to try to fight it. So between the hurricanes, the lack of carriers, and the false claims, it's just a mixture of everything to reason premiums.
So as an insurance professional, how do you help people navigate this situation?
We just keep shopping around. One thing that we like to do is we always like to look at the wind mitigation inspection, because a lot of times an agent will just say, okay, this is what your quotes are and this is the reason, but without explaining why. So we look at things that our clients can do to change around, make a small improvement that could possibly make a big difference in their premium.
That's really valuable. And just to be clear for anybody watching, a wind mitigation inspection is a special inspection that an inspector does with the roof and the hurricane coverings and all those things. And the insurance company reviews that, and if you score a certain level, you'll save money on your insurance.
Correct.
They value that more, right?
Yes, and there's 5 different credits on a wind mitigation inspection. So you may not have hurricane windows, or you may not have shutters, but there's still 4 other ways on that wind mitigation that you can have credits.
Oh, okay.
And one of the big differences in the premium is it's called a roof-to-wall attachment, and it's how the roof is attached to the building. And there's 3 different options, and there's a really big difference in this third option and the second option on your premium. And it's a pretty inexpensive fix to change that, to retrofit your roof.
Wow.
So anytime that we see somebody come through that has on their wind mitigation toenails, we always give them that option with clips too, and refer, and give a few names to have somebody come out and give them a quote. Because a lot of times, the difference in the premium just in the first year will pay for that retrofitting.
So one little piece of advice we can give to people is if they're concerned about their current insurance rate on their home, that they can review their wind mitigation inspection. As a matter of fact, they could send it to you.
Absolutely.
You will review that for them. You might be able, it's possible you could give them advice where they could save a significant amount of money on their insurance bill right there just by allowing you to review that and quoting them on better insurance.
And something else, another way that if you've owned your home for several years, every year the carrier raises the dwelling coverage a little bit. And if you've not had your insurance policy reviewed in a few years, that could have raised quite a bit. So it's always good to have your agent or call me. I'm happy to do it, just to look about bringing that coverage back down just a little bit.
And shop it.
Yes, and shop it a little bit.
Got it. Okay, well, I appreciate you sharing all that. Tell me about you and your insurance company and what you guys do in general, what you offer.
So I work for a company called Florida Home and Auto Insurance. We do all personal lines from homes, condos, investment properties, obviously automobiles, boats, trailers. And when I say trailers, I mean like RVs. Let me rephrase that. And we're a brokerage, so we shop out with 15 different carriers. Now, unfortunately, there's not 15 carriers that are currently writing in Tri-County, but we do have options, and we try to get the best rate we can.
Got it. So you're able to compare them amongst those carriers to get the best quotes for your clients as well. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And is there a bundle option where you can bundle the home and the car for extra savings or anything like that? Or
there is. Unfortunately, not a lot of auto carriers like to write homeowners insurance in Florida because they don't want to get mixed up with the hurricanes.
I see.
And the ones that do have very strict guidelines. So Progressive is one of the carriers that actually works with brokers, because most of them, like your Allstate, State Farm, Geico, they don't work with individual brokers. They just have their own insurance agents. So they don't shop around outside of their particular carriers. And a lot of them, they're very hard to get a homeowner's policy with them.
Wow.
So Progressive does write homeowners in Florida. A lot of people don't realize that, but they do. There's, I think, only 20% of the agents in the entire state can write with Progressive Home.
Wow.
And I am one of those. The issue with Progressive is their guidelines are very, very strict. So in every carrier's guidelines are getting stricter and stricter, but Progressive really, in the Tri-County, they expect their roofs to be less than 5 years old.
Wow.
So the rest of the state is 10, but in Tri-County is, that's so a 5-year-old roof. Yeah.
That's really tough.
So there are bundle options, but the guidelines are pretty strict.
Got it. Okay. Anything else that's important, Jeannie, that we want to share?
One thing I want to say real quick is that now that it's hurricane season, we always recommend to all of our clients, obviously if you have a claim, and this just doesn't mean because it's hurricane season, but if you have a claim, people are worried about what they can claim, about their personal property. What I tell all my clients is just to walk through their house with their cell phone, either taking a video or taking some photos, and email it to yourself.
When should you do that? Should you do that at like the beginning of hurricane season? Would that be wise? Or when would you advise doing that?
Anytime.
Anytime,
because if you email it to yourself, you're always going to have it. That way, if you have to file a claim and they come back and say, well, we don't see that, or that wasn't there, or just any little thing, you have proof that everything's there. So you're not looking for receipts. You don't need that. But you've got it in case they ask for it.
Got it. Okay, great. And Jeannie, we're gonna release the video. We're gonna include all of your information so everybody has access to that.
Okay.
However, would you mind sharing your phone number just in case?
Absolutely. My cell phone number is 561-723-6833.
Got it. And that's Jeanne Greek.
Yes.
Thanks so much for joining us, Jeannie.
Thanks, Brian, for having me. I appreciate it.